Welcome to the Cyber Crisis Management Conference 2024. It is Cyber Week. We are so happy to have you here. We're so proud for the opportunity to partner with the Cyber Week and organize for the third year the Cyber Crisis Management event. We have a very exciting program today with some of the top experts around crisis management and incident response, with some of the top thinkers in this domain, and also with a live simulation prepared with the leading cloud investigation companies, incident response companies, and experts in the domain. I think we'll have a very interesting and unique program today, and it will be an engaging program, so we actually expect your participation. With no further ado, I want to invite to the stage to open the day and to give his remarks and thoughts around cyber crisis trends. My dear partner, dearest friend, co-founder of Cytactic, Menny Barzilay, and currently the CEO of Milestone, who is also the CTO of the Multidisciplinary Center for Cyber Security at Tel Aviv University. Menny Barzilay!
Yay! I just prepared. I woke up this morning at 5 a.m. to work on the presentation. I worked on it for 3 hours, and now we are here. So if I will not remember what I want to say, forgive me. We're going to talk about the most important trend, what I think is the most important trend in cyber crisis management, which is personal liability. It's going to completely change the way we think about the CISO position, the CEO position, and cyber crisis response. So we already know that in many organizations, the CISO is the one considered to be the one in charge of pushing the cyber crisis management and readiness program in the organization. Even though most of the work or a lot of the work should be done by other officers in the organization, the legal person, the CEO, the PR manager, the business continuity people, the CFO, and so on and so forth, the CEO is considered the one who should push the program, and that's sometimes a problem because those people don't report to the CEO. He cannot tell them what to do, and he doesn't actually understand, he or she doesn't actually understand their role and position. So this is a tough position to be at, and if something goes wrong, it's still the CISO who is usually blamed. And cybersecurity crisis management is a multidisciplinary problem. A lot of people should work together. But those people, many times, the CEO, the legal people, the PR people, because they don't understand cybersecurity, they don't want to talk about cybersecurity, to some extent, they try to push this program. They try to say, okay, we will deal with it at a certain point. We will not deal with it right now. And that's a challenge that we see in some organizations. But when cyber crises happen, it can many times destroy the CISO's career. And we've seen it in several cases where CISOs got fired, and in some cases, and you will see that, it was hard for CISOs to find a new position because in their history, they have a big incident that many times became a huge crisis, even though it wasn't their fault. It wasn't their fault that the incident became a huge crisis. Nevertheless, the CISO was considered by the public and the media as the one responsible for the situation. So personal liability is a big issue. And I'm going to tell you a few stories. We're going to do it very, very quickly. Those stories stress the emerging trends of personal liability. And obviously, we're going to start with SolarWinds. SolarWinds is considered to be one of the biggest, one of the biggest and most important cyber crisis events ever. And it is a well-known supply chain event. Hackers hacked SolarWinds, and through that hacked 18,000 of SolarWinds customers, which is a very interesting incident. Some of those customers were well-known companies like Microsoft and FireEye. Others were official governmental entities in the United States, and so on and so forth. Because of this incident, the share price of SolarWinds went down, and you can see that it happened somewhere at the end of 2020. And because the share price went down, SolarWinds shareholders sued the company. The shareholders themselves sued the company. And when they sued the company, they didn't just sue the company, they were looking to sue actual people. And if you will look at this paper that they filed, the legal action that they filed, you would see that there is the corporate defendant, SolarWinds. They are suing SolarWinds, but they also sue executive defendants. And that's very interesting. They sue Kevin Thompson, who is the CEO of SolarWinds, but they also sue Tim Brown, who is the CISO of SolarWind. And one of the things that they say is that Tim Brown, the CISO, was participating in conferences, much like this one, was giving talks, was talking about the practices of SolarWind and how good SolarWind is with cybersecurity and how seriously they take cybersecurity issues. And because of that, we decided to invest in SolarWind. And now when the incident happened, we discovered that he was lying. And because of that, we lost a lot of money and we want to sue him. So they filed this legal action, this lawsuit, and the court didn't accept it. The court dismissed it. So they fixed it, they refiled it, but eventually SolarWind decided to settle, and they paid $26 million to shareholders without acknowledging any wrongdoing. So that's very interesting, that SolarWind actually feels that the best way to go about it would be to pay the shareholders. But this is not where the story ends. So we see shareholders suing the CISO, which is crazy, but after the lawsuit ended, now the SEC is suing SolarWind, and not just SolarWind, they're actually suing the CISO of SolarWind, Tim Brown. This suit, filed Monday, also names SolarWind's Chief Information Security Officer, Tim Brown. And one of the things that they see is that they take internal discussions of the security people from within the company, and one of the security experts from within the company says, can't really figure out how to unfuck this situation. Yeah, I consider whether I should say it or not. Tim Brown on conferences said the company is focused on hygiene and best practices, which is something that every CISO in the world says. It's not crazy. Everybody says that. And what the SEC says, that a reasonable investor, considering whether to purchase or sell SolarWind stock, would have considered important to know the true state of SolarWind security, especially regarding the state of the company's access control for blah, 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 blah. So you see that what they say is that the statements that the CEO says on conferences actually mislead investors. The company is supporting Tim Brown, and they're actually protecting him, which is a very, very different case from another well-known case, which is the Uber case. Just to conclude this case, this is the actual filing of the SEC, and this is a very uncomfortable position to be at as a CISO, where you would see your name, SolarWind and Timothy G. Brown, in lawsuit by the SEC in an official filing. So this changes the way we think about CISOs and their roles. They say in the filing, defendant SolarWind and the then Vice President of Security and Architecture Brown defrauded SolarWind's investors and customers through misstatements, omissions, and schemes that concealed both the company's poor security practices, blah, 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 blah. This is very, very interesting. SEC files fraud complaint against SolarWinds and its CISO, but keeps PwC. That's a good question. It's not the first time where we see the regulators do something against the CISO, but don't take any action against other entities that supposedly were involved in this process. So PwC, the external auditors, who were part of this process and did all the work of making sure that the statements are true, currently received no legal actions from the SEC, which is very, very interesting. Never mind that. As I told you, this is a very different case from the most well-known case where legal action was taken against the CISO, and that's the Uber case. The CISO hid an incident from the FTC, and that worked for a while until a new CEO came to the company. And when he discovered that the company didn't tell the FTC about the incident, he said, "You did what?" He was crazy, and you could see that the cat is like amazed. I actually drew the eyebrows of the cat. You could see there. He is like amazed, and he immediately fired the CISO and the legal officer who worked with him. And then the CISO was charged with data breach covered.
We are here today to announce criminal charges for a corporate cover-up of a data hack that put the private information of millions of people at risk. The charges we are announcing were filed earlier today.
So this is a very serious case. You see the official FBI, DOJ officials state that they take the CISO into court, and the CISO told the company, "Well, I'm an officer of the company. I'm supposed to be under the company's insurance. You should cover my legal fees." And they say, "No, you didn't officially receive the position of an officer in the company. You don't have the paper to show that, so we're not going to pay you the legal fees, which is crazy. Again, definitely an interesting situation. There was another plot twist where the hackers that hacked Uber were eventually caught, and then it was discovered that they hacked other organizations like Linda, which is the education company of LinkedIn. And now what the DOJ says is that obviously the hackers plead guilty, and what now the DOJ says that to some extent Joe Sullivan is also responsible for the hack of Linda, because if he would have told the company, the officials, that Uber was hacked, then they could have caught the hackers before they hacked LinkedIn. How much time do I have, Ofer? You're the one with the incentive to tell me. 10 minutes, okay. So you're not alone. If you get hacked and you're not disclosing the hack to the regulators, you're not helping authorities to catch the hackers, you might be in a situation where they tell you that you are responsible for other hacks as well, which is, again, a crazy situation to be in as a CISO. Eventually, he was convicted. Everybody expected that he will go to jail, but he didn't go to jail because this guy did a lot of good things to the world. He helped he created a lot of good programs in Facebook to help kids from being, kids wanted to suicide, to kill themselves, thinking about suicide, kills. He helped create programs that help kids that are about to get molested. It's crazy things. So he did a lot of good things, and this is part of the reason why the judge didn't send him to jail eventually, and he's a good person. But he was found guilty. And the security, the CTO community talked about that, and everybody got outraged. And people started writing things like that. Here's some free security advice from the Uber incident. I think we can all apply. Don't do stupid shit. Avoid mistakes at scale, and never take a role as a CISO. This is what people started feeling. The only people happy about this are the Uber PR folks who successfully tried and successfully pinned the Uber response on one executive. This is a miscarriage of justice. The Uber verdict is really going to destroy CISO positions, and so on and so forth. And the real question, the CEO of Uber knew about this incident. Why nobody did anything against them? It is not very clear. And evidence showed that Sullivan told Kalanick, which was the Uber CEO at the time, and that Kalanick approved Sullivan's strategy, yet nothing happened to the CEO. In a different case, the Finnish therapy clinic CEO got fired after a data breach. So this is a well-known, super interesting incident where hackers hacked into a therapy clinic chain, stole all the information from within the therapy clinic, and published it on the internet eventually, and started extorting people. So imagine a situation where you go and meet your psychologist or psychiatrist, and you talk to them about the most sensitive things in your life, and suddenly hackers take this information and start extorting you and the company and publishing that on the internet. You talk about very, very sensitive things. This is an easy way to destroy people's lives. And when this happened, the company didn't deal with the situation correctly, and the CEO eventually got fired, and he was also supposed to go to jail, and eventually he was sentenced. He was found guilty, and he was sentenced to 3 months suspended sentence. He didn't go to jail because the judge said he received so many threats of his life, and this is probably one of the first cases they have there in Finland, so eventually decided not to send him to jail. But it is a very, very interesting case where the CEO was personally liable for this case. The company declared bankruptcy, so they didn't survive this cyber incident, which is also very interesting. This is also some kind of a personal liability situation. And I tried to go to their website, and this is what they have right now. This is their website right now. A crazy, crazy story is the story of Drizzly. Drizzly is like Walt, where you can order alcohol. So it's for alcohol. You can order alcohol on. That's a very interesting company. And they got hacked. And the FTC takes action against Drizzly and its CEO because of security failures. And this is very, very interesting. Let me show you why. The FTC is not just taking action against the company. They're taking actions against the CEO in a very unique way. So let's see that. Our proposed order against Drizzly, the company, not only restricts what the company can retain and collect going forward, but also ensures the CEO faces consequences for the company's carelessness, said Samuel Levin, director of the FTC's Bureau of Consumer Protection. CEO who takes shortcuts on security should take a note. Now let's see why it gets crazy. The entire incident happened because of something so small and so insignificant, but we see that all the time. Hacker stole someone's password and got into their GitHub environment. And from the GitHub environment, took control over data. Ofer here nods because he sees that twice a day, right? The order applies personally to Realis, the CEO, who presided over Drizzly's Act's data security practices as CEO. Now, why this is crazy? This is crazy because the commission proposed order will follow Realis even if he leaves Drizzly. So if this CEO goes to become a CEO of another company, he still carry the program that he is supposed to exercise in this new company. So he takes the problem with him to a new company. Realis will be required to implement an information security program at future companies if he moves to a business collection customer information from more than 25,000 individuals and where he has a majority owner or CEO or senior officer with information security responsibilities. Who will hire this guy? Who will hire this guy if he takes the FTC program demands with him to the new company? This is crazy. Their website is down, and they were acquired by Uber Eats, for more than $1 billion. And 3 years later, Uber decided to close the company and put everything in one place. Okay, almost the last story I want to tell you is Pearson. Pearson is a very interesting company. It's an education company, and they had an incident, and they talked to the public about this incident, but they downplayed the incident. That means that they had this incident, but when they talked to people, they said, oh, it's not that a big of a deal, it's not a big incident. And the SEC said, no, we do not accept that. When you disclose the incident to the public, you have to be as accurate and as truthful as possible. Because if not, and let's see what Christina Littman says, and this is very interesting, as public companies face the growing threat of cyber intrusions, they must provide accurate information to investors about material cyber incidents. And what she says is that if you're not disclosing the incident in the right way, this might be considered insider trading, which is crazy. This is a very dangerous claim, insider trading. Now, at this point, it's still against the company, but this could easily become something personal against people inside the company. And the history is full of cases where CEOs left their job or got fired because of incidents. Target CEO Greg resigns in wake of customer data breach. Yahoo top lawyers resigns, and CEO Marissa Mayer loses bonus in the wake of a hack. Equifax CEO Richard Smith resigns after the massive hack. But there is another interesting side to the story, is that, and some of you are familiar with that after the big hack of Equifax, it was discovered that the chief information security officer, which was also fired, is actually a music major. Are you familiar with that? She is a music major, and this is one of the things that the regulators talked about. And when the company got sued, this is one of the things that they mentioned. How come you take someone with a music degree? Obviously, we know that it doesn't matter. You can be an amazing CISO with a music degree. We know that this is a stupid claim, but what we see here is that optics is very, very important, and we will talk about that in a second. Optics is very important. I tried to find her LinkedIn profile to see where she is today. Her LinkedIn profile doesn't exist, and that's very, very interesting. Maybe she changed her name. 2 minutes. Okay, let me just conclude. You are getting more and more liability. CISOs are being held responsible. CEOs, this is a very interesting emerging trend. We see that everywhere. The SEC just published new rules that forces companies to be better in disclosing the risks in their financial reports and to investors. So all of the cases that I've mentioned were even before this new rules was published, which is a big issue. I only have 2 minutes, so I'm not going to go into that. Gartner predicts 75% of CEO will be personally liable for cyber physical security incident. That means that they understand that cyber incident could actually kill people and harm equipment. So this is also an emerging problem. We're not going to go into that. Let me just conclude. Things that you should do. Remember, number one, optics is crucial. It is crucial. Just think about how things would look like the moment an incident will happen, because the moment an incident will happen, everybody will look closely on every decision that you made, everything that happened. So optics is crucial. Emphasize risk management. Disclose to the board of directors and senior management always that there is always a risk for an incident. Everything is hackable. You should shift the responsibility to the people that should bear the responsibility, the board of directors and senior management. It's very, very important to include them in the risk management program. Secure D&O insurance. We have Shai here. Where is he? Here. Talk to him. D&O insurance is very, very, very important to make sure that if something happened and you being held responsible, you are covered by the company's insurance. Understand current implications of cyber incident, even if the incident is not your fault. And on the technical side, everything was great, and the business people failed, it's still going to be considered your fault, and your career might be hindered. So it's very important to push the cyber readiness program inside the company and push other people to do that. Collaborate closely with legal teams. Security people should start understanding legal issues. This is very, very important today. Advocate for security maturity. The security maturity must go up with those new business risks. This is very important. Develop and test incident response plan, goes without saying. Engage with external expert. Working with external experts shifts some of the responsibility to other companies. Very, very important. And implement cutting edge tools. You might say that I'm a bit biased trying to push Cytactic's platform, but it is very important in today's reality that you use tools, that you implement tools, and you cultivate the entire organization to use those tools in order to push your security program forward. This is it. Thank you so much, and being ready makes a difference.